Niningjo Acholi, welcome back to Chaka Leb Acholi. Man only segment Mingani, Chaka Ikang. Um, I meant to record yesterday. Sometimes I just can't find the time. Um, but welcome back to Chaka Leb Acholi. I'm Jacqueline Ikang of Caught. Um, I'm not reading for this one session. In this session, I wanted to go ahead and share with you all, our audience, the maps that I said I was going to share. I don't have my own map of Acholi territories or a map that I know our community uses often. I had to actually search on the web to see what I can find that can help us visualize where all the Acholi territories are. Um, Pre-colonial times and also post-colonial times, or in present day Uganda and South Sudan. Um, it was a bit of a task to find um, the maps that I needed, especially for South Sudan, being that South Sudan is a very young nation. And they also don't have the capacity to draw their regional maps more specifically for each region. Um, so, what I was able to find, I'm going to share with you guys. Please like, comment, share this video widely with your family and friends, your network, your peers, friends and followers on all of your social media platforms, including Facebook. We are on Facebook as Chaka Leb Acholi. We are also on YouTube as Chaka Leb Acholi. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with all of the new recordings and sessions that we're covering on Acholi content or Acholi related information. Um, I am also on Facebook, my personal Facebook, where I also share these videos, including Acholi content and any content relating to South Sudan, Uganda, Africa, where I engage with other people outside of the Acholi community as well, including friends that are non-Acholi as well. Okay. So before I go into showing you guys the maps that I was able to find, I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys the new logo that we wanted to start using for this platform for Chaka Leb Acholi and Kwan Leb Acholi. Let me see if I can share the logo with you guys and maybe explain it briefly before I share the map or the maps. Okay. Mm, Let me see if I can show it to you guys. I don't need to be on here. Okay, so this is a logo that I've decided to work with for Chaka Leb Acholi and Kwan Leb Acholi. Okay, just to explain it just a little bit, I do love blue. So I decided that blue would be the best color to use, and blue happens to be a diplomatic color. I want our audience to know that this platform is for all people, and we're inviting of everyone to join us on this platform to learn about Acholi people, and also learn about each other and grow as a community. Okay. So now, as you can see, the emblem is Chaka and Kwan Leb Acholi. You guys already know that's the name of the channel, which is Chaka Leb Acholi, and the segment of Kwan Leb Acholi is within this platform. Okay. But I also added Kodi Paliech, of course, all of my Acholi people from Uganda and South Sudan, you already know. So Kodi Paliech is also like an emblem um, or a motto that we live by as Acholi people from both Uganda and Acholi, which basically means we are the seeds of elephants or seed of an elephant. Um, so elephants are our animal that symbolizes who we are as a people. We used to believe, or we still believe, that we used to coexist with elephants, and they are very friendly animals, and they're very spiritual as well. And some of my readings, if you guys go back and watch previous recordings, you'll see that um, uh, in the reading, we found that a long time ago in ancient times, the Acholi people, the Luo people actually, used to communicate with elephants. Elephants, we used to believe that elephants spoke to us, um, at least according to research. Some of our elders used to say that elephants spoke to us, and they had a friendly nature, and they lived within our communities as well. Okay. Um, so Kodi basically speaks to that, the fact that we believe we come from um, a community where we believed that elephants are the best nature to encompass, right, as a being, a living being or human being. So we call ourselves Kuripaliech. This includes both Acholi people in Uganda and Acholi people in present-day South Sudan. Okay, so I added that on there. Of course, and my name, my full name, Jacqueline Ikang Okot. Um, and the little chili, hot red chili pepper you see there has a significant meaning. I wanted to say what it means, but I wonder if some of the viewers may know why I have that there. But not to kind of boast a little bit. We, as the Patanga people of Pajak of present-day South Sudan, we are called the people of hot chili or hot pepper because we Patanga people are known as the people of Kamlada, or that's one of our mottos, which is chili or red hot chili pepper. And that means we are very what do you call it? I don't want to say we're aggressive, but we're really stern in our ways, and we know who we are, and we work at anything just to get what we're trying to achieve. So our motto is the hot chili or the red hot chili pepper or the kamlada. So I put that there to mean that I am from Patanga, which is one of the subgroups of the Pajak people of the Acholi tribe of South Sudan. Okay. Um, I didn't add the quinoa. My mom is from Abal. Abal is known for quinoa, which is this very bitter leaf that people from Abal love to eat. And they're known for that. It's very bitter. So my sisters and I like to joke around and say, hey, we are mixed with quinoa, which is very bitter. It's not easy to eat this bitter leaf, right? If you eat this, you become very strong. You gain a lot of strength. All right. So we like to joke around and say we're mixed with quinoa and this hot pepper, right? So not so many people can tolerate the strength of patanga, but then again, they can't tolerate the strength of somebody mixed with patanga and oba or quinoa. So we like to joke around with that. So I didn't add that, but because I'm from Patanga, we follow our father's lineage. So I'm Patanga. Um, so naming our children is very important in our culture. Children grow up to basically follow the meaning of their names. My name is Jacqueline Ikang Okot. Um, and my local name is Ikang, of course. Jacqueline is obviously English. But Ikang, I feel like I may be following also the nature of somebody who would be named Ikang, right? So in Acholi or in Luo, if somebody's name Ikang or Nikang or Lokang, is to mean either they are a king or a queen. Okay. So I would like to tell my sisters that I have the character and the capacity to be a queen if I wanted to. But however, we didn't have, what do you call it? We're not from the line of chiefs or royalty, of course. But anyways, I like to joke around with that. To be mixed with Kamlara and Kenya and be Ikang, given the name Ikang is crazy. And not only that, I'm also an Aries. I'm a fire sign. Being a fire sign, being Patanga, and being also partially from a ball with a mix of Kenya is deadly. I like to joke around with that with my siblings. It's very deadly to have that in my nature and have these characteristics, have the name that I have, and also be an Aries, which is crazy. But so that's why I added the little pepper there next to my name. And the two flags for the two countries where you can find Acholi communities being South Sudan, okay, or present day South Sudan, and present day Uganda, okay. And then, of course, we have our little chiefs in there, our people, the elephant, our homes, and the beautiful village, um, and a logo. So, anyways, that's it about the logo. um, so, I want to go ahead now and talk a little bit about some of the maps that I was able to find on Acholi land or Acholi territories. Ancient maps, if I could find. It was very hard to find, and then also present day maps for Acholi territories in present day South Sudan and present day Uganda. Like I said earlier, it was very hard to find a map of Acholi, demarcated Acholi territories within South Sudan or Southern Sudan. Why? Because of course they didn't have the tools, they didn't have the capacity, I guess, at the time now, because obviously Sudan or South Sudan was at war for so long that we lacked the infrastructure and we lacked the technology to be able to draw out a administrative map, um, a local administrative map of our ethnic communities or places like Pajok or Chuli land within southern Sudan. I would, when I went into searching for these maps, I would have thought, okay, maybe NASA um, would have a map on southern Sudan. They do have a map, however, it doesn't go into detail. They don't dive into the Acholi territories in southern Sudan. Okay, so I started playing around with Google Maps to see what I can find about these territories. I'm also sharing this with you guys because as I read, maybe you guys can have in mind where these regions are located, where each not ethnic group, each clan or subgroup comes from, or where they're located today. Uh, well, the task was very difficult because it was very hard to find. Now, I'm going to try to share um, what I was able to find so you can have an understanding or visualize idea of what um, or where Acholi is located today in where Acholi is located today in Acholi territories is located today in South Sudan or Southern Sudan. Okay, let me see. I have so many maps here. Let me see, which one was I looking at? I have so many maps open. Okay. Um, if you can see this, I hope you can see it. Let me see. Let me add it to the stage here. Okay, so as you see here, this is a map that illustrates where all the ethnic groups are in present day South Sudan. Okay. Let me see if I can toggle this a little bit so you can see where Chile is located. Um, hmm, okay. I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm looking at. Let me go to the map. Acholi is right next to Madi. I'm not sure if you guys can see where I'm pointing, but Acholi is right next to Madi. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. So this is the whole map from Wikimedia. Um, from the top there, you see where Shilluk, uh, the Shilluk people are. Berta, Nuer, Dinka, Chad, Georgiol, Balanda, Pertit, um, Balanda Bor, Bongo, Azande, Baka, Jorbel. I'm reading all the names of these ethnic groups and where they're located so you can see where they're located because some Acholi people came from most of these tribes before settling in present-day Acholi land as the Acholi people. Okay, some of them came from these other tribes. Okay, so this is just to help you visualize where all these other tribes are located in present day. Um, and you can see the Baka, Mundu, Moro, Ayokaya, Mondari, Nyanwara, Bari. Some Acholi people come from Bari, some come from Dinka, Morle, some come from Anyuak, okay? Kalam, G, Taposa, Nyangatum, Didinga, Latuga, some come from Latuga, okay? So it's called Latuga. Lango, some come from Lango, some come from Latuga, some come from Taposa. Um, Pori, Lopit, Lokoya. Some come from Lokoya. Some come from Lolobo. You see Lolobo here under Lokoya next to Madi. Some come from Kuku, Kakwa, Pajulu. Yeah, so there's over 64 tribes in South Sudan, but this is some of the main ones that you guys can see. And Acholi is right next to Madi. Madi is surrounded by Madi to the left, Lango to the right, okay, and Laturo towards the northeast, and Laluba towards the northwest corner, okay. And then right below Acholi is, of course, Uganda and other Acholi territories that are now part of Uganda, okay. All right, so let me see what else I can share with you guys. Um, Now, what else do I have? Okay, let me share this as well. Uh, okay, not yet. Okay, just so you guys can have an idea of okay. Okay, so this is also from Wikimedia, so you guys can have a visualized landscape of South Sudan, present day. Okay, so as you see there, Uganda is towards the south. I want to say the Acholi region. Look very closely. The Acholi people, the Acholi territory of present day Southern Sudan or South Sudan, they're located within Eastern Equatoria. This purple color here, where it has Torit as the capital, The Acholi people are within the Eastern Equatoria State, which is this purple right here. I'm not sure if you guys are able to see it. Um, and they're right next to Uganda. Okay. Now, and you can see that Kenya also borders other parts of Eastern Equatoria, Ethiopia to the east. Of course, North Sudan borders South Sudan to the north, Central Africa Republic to the west, and Congo to the southwest. Okay. Um, this information is also important because some of the Luo and Acholi people um, migrated out of Sudan and out of present day South Sudan into the surrounding regions. Okay, Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia. Some stayed in northern Sudan or went back later on. Then some went to Car, okay, and some went as far as Chad, Niger, Cameroon, as I've said before, Senegal, Gambia, and other areas, but they took on new identities. But the Acholi people are mainly known to be settled in this region here in the Eastern Equatoria state of present-day South Sudan and northern Uganda here. Okay, you can find these maps on Wikimedia. Okay, I don't own any of these maps. I'm poor. So now I want to also show you guys now another map that shows where Acholi territories are. This must be like an old map um, because it still has Sudan as one. But this is basically just to show you guys where Acholi territories are in southern Sudan and Uganda, northern Uganda. Okay, so you can have an idea. Okay, so let me share. Hmm, let me see where it is. Okie dokie. Now, I hope you guys can see this. My son's about to start making noise. So this is a older map that covers territories belonging to the Acholi people, um, both in Sudan or southern Sudan at the time and northern Uganda. Okay, so you can see here, not too much information is given about the Acholi land in southern Sudan at the time, but you can see that Lotuga, which is Lotuko, is at the time north of the Acholi territories, and Tapasa was far east. Okay, and then Bari to the west. Okay, note that a lot of Acholi people came from these northern areas as well, Bari, Latula, and Tapasa. Okay, now into Uganda here, where the yellow is. Okay, this is where most Acholi people are currently residing today. Okay, in the Kitgum region, okay, in the Pade region, and the Gulu region. Okay, all of this in the yellow here is Acholi territories in both countries. Sudan at the time, present-day South Sudan, and then northern Uganda. Okay, and then in northern Uganda, you can see that they are surrounded by other communities, including Karamojong, Lango. Lango people also speaks uh, their language is very similar to Acholi, and they sound just like Acholi. It's probably about they have a 90% correlation with the Acholi language. Okay, and then Lobara. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing this one as well. I have another one to show you guys. Excuse my noisy street. Um, Now that you see where the Acholi territories are in northern Uganda and the southern region of uh, Sudan, I don't have a lot of information on the territories right now because we don't have our own maps yet to cover the territories in present day South Sudan. I want to dig deeper to show you guys the territories in northern Uganda, the Acholi territories in northern Uganda. Okay. I want to start with an ancient map based on research by Patrick Oteem, who published his research in 2023 on the Acholi royal messengers, basically their path throughout northern Uganda to meet with local chiefs to understand their role and their landscape, basically to take this information back to the British Empire or the British um, administrators so they can make decisions about the chiefs, the districts, the language, the rule, and just understanding the nature of the people. They were basically messengers who came into northern Uganda and southern Sudan, at the present day South Sudan, and gathered information from 1870 to 1920, and they took that information back to their queen um, and their governments just so they can split up Uganda and South Sudan for an effective, invasion and rule. Okay. Um, so I just want to go ahead and share briefly the map that Patrick was able to um, research and find from the diaries of these British messengers that went into northern Uganda, and he shared that with us. I'm sharing this because right now I'm reading a lot about the Acholi territories and how most of them, most chiefdoms or Acholi groups that came into Pajok and other Acholi territories in present South Sudan, they had migrated as Luo people or Acholi people into present day northern Uganda. They settled with other groups there in northern Uganda, including other ethnic groups like the Bunyoro Kingdom, Payira, Pawi, and Bunyoro Kingdom, and Payira, and other places, before some of them broke away and came back into southern Sudan um, and became one group with other Chuli groups in present day South Sudan. Now we're reading about Pajok. Maybe some of this will kind of make sense to you now that I'm reading about Pajok, where some of these groups came from in northern Uganda. These are people who went into Uganda and are coming back into southern Sudan. Okay. I know I'm talking a lot. Let me share that with you. Okay. This is the research from Patrick Oteem. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see the screen I'm sharing. Okay, you guys can also find this research online by Patrick Oteem in 2023. Okay, he published this article in the Vienna Journal of African Studies in 2023, volume 44. Okay, you can download this and read it yourself. I'm not going to cover the entire research. I may later read it to you guys. It's in English. I like to read to our audience text in Acholi from our Acholi scholars. He's an Acholi scholar too, but however, he wrote it in English for a wider audience. And just briefly to say that this research is titled Acholi Royal Messengers Mobility of Information and Goods in Northern Uganda, 1870 to 1920. Um, Let me add it to stage. Okay, so you guys can see. Now, so Acholi Royal Messengers, Mobility of Information and Goods in Northern Uganda, 1870s to 1920. Mind you, this is before the British came and demarcated the area. They wanted to understand these nations and these groups and kingdoms and chiefdoms and their rule and their nature first before they can have an idea of how they want to demarcate the entire territory. Okay. They wanted to study them first. So they sent messengers, okay? One of the very first messengers, as I've read in other recordings, previous sessions, you can go watch out the previous sessions, spoke about Sir Samuel Baker. Sir Samuel Baker is also covered in the text I'm reading, written by Saturnino Onyala, okay? Sir Samuel Baker was one of the also British, one of the British messengers as well. He traveled throughout the present day South Sudan and throughout northern Uganda as one of the messengers to gather information and take it back to their government, basically, so they can make decisions on how to install rule and power or division, and who to put in place, which chiefs they can trust, which communities, which subgroups did they trust, which which leaders could they trust to put in place to lead or rule their people in their absence if they needed to. Okay, so I'm just going to read the abstract very briefly. He says this article examines the position of La or Padrod, or what I refer to as a royal messenger, to show the complicated nature of mobility of information and goods in late pre colonial and early colonial Acholi land. Using a wide range of sources, such as mission and colonial archives, local histories by both Acholi and missionaries, and the author's doctoral field research notes, I argue that understanding this office and its holder allow us to comprehend the complex ways through which information and goods move between subjects and leaders called Rodi. Okay, singular is Rod, meaning chief. So chiefs or chief. Okay, and from one Rod to another. This article has dual goals. First, to examine the nature of the training of La and or Parod, delving into the knowledge and skills of the office holders, and second, to demonstrate the roles of La or Parod in his chiefdom and the transformation of the office beginning in the 1890s with the British conquest of Acholi land to 1920. Overall, the article seeks to draw attention to the unique group of men who facilitated the traffic of administrative and diplomatic information and goods in Acholi land and above. Please go read the article, support the brother. I love our scholars. Now, I also want to speak on some of our people within our Acholi community um, who may not feel like they can use sources outside of our local community. To be a scholar, I already said this in previous previous recordings. To be a scholar or a researcher, right? You have to be objective. You have to um, take scope of all perspectives, look at all artifacts, look at all secondary information, whether within our community or within other communities or outside of our community, even from the point of view of our colonial masters, right? You want to take scope of all of that into perspective and then write about it and write objectively, okay? You can't just say, oh, we're only going to use local narratives. Take scope of everything you can find. Mind you, at the time, we didn't record anything within our communities. We use only oral traditions to pass on information. And now, the tough thing about writing research within our landscape is the fact that sometimes you're not able to find these elders to gather information from. So sometimes you make it up when, you know, you may assume that, that is the facts about your community. But I say that we should use any sources that we can find. Not to say that as a researcher you have to agree with all perspective or all facts or evidence or artifacts that you find, but you use that and you engage in discourse, write about it, What are they saying? Let people know what other people are saying, what other scholars are saying regarding this one topic. Where did you get the information? Why you think it's credible? You can even question it within your research, right? That's how you write research effectively. You don't just say, no, we're not going to use any other source apart from our local narratives. You're not a researcher, okay? Now, anyway, go read the article by Patrick O'Teen, okay? But I just wanted to jump to the map that he found in some of the archives of these messengers, British messengers, okay? Um, Now, this map right here illustrates where Acholi land was located at the time prior to the land being split up or demarcated. Okay, you can see Acholi land here in the dark. Okay, um, it's not a lot of detail, but you can tell that on the northern region here is where Sudan was located, and you see how the White Nile was flowing down into present day Uganda or the northern region of Uganda. But Acholi land here covered only the Acholi land within Uganda, if you can make it out here. Okay. I want to say, okay, now Acholi land is right there in the dark. It's also surrounded by, you see the different nations here or communities here. There's the kingdom of Bunyoro to the southwest, and then Langa land to the south. And I think this is Karamoja land. And then to the west, northwest, I believe this is part of present day Southern Sudan. We have Madi land and then Lugabara land. I don't know what that is. So these were the surrounding territories around Achugland back in the day. Now he got this from a source, the British messengers, who drew out these maps to send it back to their queen, um, so they can figure out how they can rule this territory. Okay, so they needed to know where everything was located, what is surrounding the area. Okay, before imposing any type of decree or mandate. Okay, now let me scroll down a little bit here. Again, this is also a Choli land, but it gives us a full detail of the uh, the subgroups within Acholi land in northern Uganda at the time. Okay? Now, if you paid attention to some of my reading, I covered most of these territories and also explained where some of the Acholi of present South Sudan, or like Pajok or Bal, where they came from. And I'm sure I'm going to cover other clans and also highlight where some of them came from within these regions in present day North Uganda or northern Uganda. Okay, so as you see here, in the white towards the north here is of course present day South Sudan. Okay, you see Nimule right here to the northwest corner here, but pay attention to the where these subgroups or regions are located. Okay, I already covered and discussed where some groups came from already, from these groups in northern Uganda at the time. Okay, so you can see Agoro is closer to present day South Sudan. Lokun, I've mentioned Lokun, some people come from Lokun. Palabek, closer to the border of Uganda or northern Uganda and present day South Sudan. Okay, below that we have Mariopi, Ope, Padibe, Pajumu, Akara, Namakora, Lakor, Oriang, Omia, Omia Anima. You guys heard me discuss that. Some people came from there. or passed through there. Those are the Chua people who later became part of Bura and other groups of Biri. People broke away from the Chua people. Pachua, this is where they were located. Okay. Paimol, Amiel, Kalongo, Pajul or Pajule. You heard me discuss this area so many times. Payira, a lot of the Pachua and Acholi Luo and whatnot sat on Payira, and made their way back up north to Palabek, Lokung, Agoro, and back into present-day South Sudan. There's also Kilak, Parunga, Adilang, Patongo, uh, Konkich, Konkich Pade. Okay. Now, onto the western part of the Chul land here, we have Atiak. Remember, some groups went and settled in Atiak. There was a big fight in Paira and Atiak between these groups, especially Jopachua. They came all the way from the west. They were fighting and moving around quite a bit in these territories and fighting with these people. Patiak was towards the west here, okay? Pawel, Palaro, Pabo, Patiro. Also the Patiro people, okay? The Chua people came to settle with Patiro people as well, including other subgroups of Acholi people of present-day South Sudan or Pajak, including Abo and other clans within the Acholi tribe of present-day South Sudan. Okay, there's also Pagak, Awach, Paicho, Lamogi. You've heard me discuss Lamogi. Okay, Alokuru. I'm sorry, Alokulum, Koch. Okay, and then we have, I already said Pagak, so Amoro, Alero, Bobo. I'm sorry. Yeah, Bobo, Anaka, and Parungo. I think I already said that. Now, surrounding this Acholi land, like I said earlier, within Uganda, we have Alu to the west. Okay. And then you see the White Nile is all the way down here. It flows through present-day South Sudan into northern Uganda and further south. You see the White Nile is right here. And then this river Tochi, remember a lot of the Pachua and other groups cross many of these rivers, these many rivers. I'm not even speaking English right now. They cross many of these rivers to get over into another community, either from the west to go to the east or from the east to go to the west. Most of them cross the Aswa River, cross the Tochi. They also cross up Ayam. Where's Ayam? Okay, I don't see it on the map here. Okay, there's Paguer, Moroto. Okay, and I don't have my glasses, but I don't see other rivers that I've covered so far. Okay, now you see where most of these Luo and Acholi groups were in pre-colonial northern Uganda, and how these are some of where the places the Acholi of present-day South Sudan migrated into and later left and went back into Southern Sudan. But some of them who did not go back in that direction to come back into Sudan or Southern Sudan, they went south into other countries. Okay, south, east, and west into other countries, whether to Tanzania, Congo, Kenya. My son is telling me to stop. I'm coming. Congo, Chad, Niger, or even further. Okay, some going into Ethiopia or going back into South Sudan or present South Sudan or Southern Sudan and going as far east back into Ethiopia. Some even ending up back in Sudan in present day, and moving around quite a bit. Okay, now I'm talking a lot. I want to stop this one. And I wanted to share Um, I want to share with you guys the last thing, which is a Google map of present day South Sudan and Northern Uganda, because it was hard for me to find information about the different Acholi towns that I will be covering in my reading or have covered in the reading. Because in present day South Sudan, they don't have the technology yet, and satellite. Um, NASA tries really hard to get information in that area or information from that area. So now using Google Maps or satellite missions, we're able to now zoom in a little bit to see where different um, Acholi towns are, or towns in both, of course, South Sudan and Uganda are. But my interest, or our interest, is obviously in looking at um, Acholi territories or Acholi towns in both present-day South Sudan and the northern Uganda region. Let me see. I want to make sure you can see my screen. Okay. Okay, so this is from Google Maps. You can also play around with Google Maps. Go on Google Maps um, and type in whatever region you want to look at. I initially typed in Pajak because I want to look at Pajak on the map so you guys can see where it's located in southern Sudan. And let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. I'm not sure if it'll allow me to. Okay. Now, let me just play around with this. Okay, now, sorry, my laptop is moving. As you can see first, before I zoom in, um, this is where uh, South Sudan and Uganda are located in Northeast Africa. You already know the surrounding countries, of course, I'm sure. You guys can look it up yourselves. We have Ethiopia to the east, Sudan to the north, Central Africa Republic to the west, including southwest. We have Congo. And of course, you see South Sudan and Uganda right next to each other. Uganda is to the south of South Sudan. And then we have Kenya to the southeast. Okay. Um, and if you go further past Uganda or Kenya, that's Tanzania. We also have Luo people in Tanzania, and we have Luo people in Congo. Um, some Luo people went as far as as far as Cameroon to the west, central west. Some went to um, Chad, some went to Nigeria, some went to Niger. Okay. Um, and some Luo people are um, all the way in Senegal. Okay. I'm sure there's other territories where Luo people went, but our focus is only Acholi people who are in a ethnic group, also in a group from a tribe within the Luo ethnic group. Okay. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Um, so let's look at present day South Sudan. I want to see where Pajak is located here. Okay, Juba is the capital of South Sudan. You see here. Okay, and now if you go further south, this is where Eastern Equatoria State is located here, where it says Magui, Pajak, Torit, and going towards the east. This is all Eastern Equatoria State. Okay. Pajok, now I'm reading about Pajok. Pajok is right here. It's closer to the border between South Sudan and Uganda. Okay, as you see here, this is Pajok right here. And Obal is pretty close as well. Let me see what I can get. Okay, as you see towards the west, it says Owinjgibul. Owinjgibul is in Panikwara. Panikwara is one of the clans of the Acholi people of South Sudan, Owinjgibul. That's Pajok and Owinjgibul to the west. Okay. Now you've heard me mention a lot of these, what do you call it? Names and names of these towns and communities in my reading. Okay, you heard me say Morle, maybe Loa, maybe. You heard me say Pagiri right here towards the west. You heard me say Opari. Okay, you heard me say Ayum. All these territories, you heard me say this is all a Chile territory here. You heard me say Agoro. Okay, and Magui. Magui is a Chile county. Okay. Um, You heard me say Alego many times because a lot of the Luo people migrated from the north going down into present day Pajok and other Choli territories. You heard me say Alego. You heard me say Lokila. You heard me say Luluba. Uh, what else have you heard me say? Okay. Now, Torit is now the capital of capital of Eastern Equatoria, which is is the state where the Acholi people have land. Mind you, all the ethnic groups are now spread out. Most of them are living in Juba in the city. If you want to live in the city, most people move to Juba. But in Eastern Equatoria or Eastern Equatoria State, the capital is Torit. Remember, Torit was also the local government center where the South was ruled from. Southern Sudan was ruled from Torit when Sudan was still one country. Okay. Um, so Torit is also where the British had their administrators and district commissioners, and oftentimes they will send their delegates from Torit to visit these chiefdoms and local communities to see how they were doing and if they needed to install a new chief or replace a chief. So they were ruling from Torit and other districts in northern Uganda. Okay. Um, if you go further south into Uganda or northern Uganda here, you can see that Palabek is very close to Pajok across the border here. Um, Please note that the borders were not imposed until maybe around 1914 by the British. Okay, so this is the border they created, splitting up the Acholi into two groups intentionally because they were too powerful. They needed to split them up. So there's Acholi in all these northern communities here in Uganda, including Palabek, Kitgum, Agaho, Kalongo, Pade, Katongo, Abim, all these places, including Pabo, Gulu, Amoro, Anaka, Pakwach, okay? And also there's a lot of Acholi in Boyale, okay? We passed through Boyale, Masindi. We used to be in a refugee camp around here, Kiradongo. Um, and some Acholi groups came as far down from Soroti and other places in Uganda and Kenya. Some went back into present day South Sudan. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. Let me know what you think. Now that you guys know a little bit about um, where these Acholi territories are, in northern Uganda and present-day South Sudan. We don't have a political or administrative map that highlights where all the Acholi communities are located. Okay. Let me know what you guys think. If you have a map of um, Acholi territories of South Sudan or present-day South Sudan, and also a pre-colonial map of Acholi communities in present-day South Sudan or in Southern Sudan at the time. Okay. Share it with us so we can share it with our audience and our people, please, because it's really hard to find that information. If you Google or go online, all you'll find is information about mostly about Acholi territories in northern Uganda. But South Sudan, because it's a young country, a new country, it's really hard to find that information. Okay, Apo Amatek. Thank you guys for following along and watching us explore these maps. And I hope to I hope to maybe share other information that I may find about the Acholi community or Acholi communities in present-day South Sudan. And if there's other information regarding Acholi in general, I'll hope to share it with you guys as well. Okay, that was very lengthy. It was a long recording. Now I just want to read briefly if I can. I'm not sure if Pagaya is very long. I'm going to end the session and just get on again. I know my son wants me to stop. If he hears me, he'll scream all the time because he wants my attention all the time. I wanted to read about Pagaya, but let me see how long it is. Once I end this live, I'll try to read about Pagaya. If it's too long, I'm not going to read it today. I'll read it tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Last session I read about BD. Before that I read about Abolta. There's 2 pages. There's no way my son is going to let me read this quietly. I'm going to end this live, and tomorrow I will read about Pagaya. Apo Amatek, guys. Have a good night.